All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Parenting in the Digital Age. I'm Heathir McElroy with Momentor Parent University.
And I'm Victoria Gwilt with CLT Counseling.
We are so excited you're here and hope you're ready to learn a few things today about parenting in the digital age and screen, social media, self-worth, all of it's wrapped up. And we've got 3 sessions for you. I'll let them know when they're coming up.
Yeah, so we've got tonight, obviously, here in January at the time of this recording. And then we've got 2 more sessions coming up, one in February 26th. And the next one will be March 26th. So
Awesome.
hopefully easy to remember.
Yes, and we will be in person for February 26th and March 26th as well in the South Park area of Charlotte, North Carolina. Hope you can join us in person. All right. Oops. Let me hop over. One moment, please. There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll have a worksheet to go along with this session today, and the link will be below the video. And we're parenting in the digital age, from control to connection is today's topic, setting digital boundaries that actually work.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
So right here, we have included a pre-survey. This is a mix of information, but also just some, like, where are we at before we start? This is information for us. We can also, if you're interested in seeing your pre and post results after the 3 sessions, we're happy to email you the results. So feel free to include your email and we can send that over after the sessions wrap.
Good. And it's just a great gauge to kind of see what you've learned and maybe where you are now and where you might be later after
Fun to
you
reflect.
Yes,
Mhm.
get some new tools. So again, welcome to this session. Momentor Parent University and CLT Counseling are offering it for you today. And this is a pilot that we are doing for the next 3 months. The introduction today and the session boundaries. I'll just share it's brave of you to be here. I feel that parents who are willing to look at their parenting and look at their own behaviors and how they're showing up in their relationships with their kids find so much more happiness in parenting and so much more happiness in life. And I'm just glad you're here. You're asking questions and exploring new tools and techniques in your parenting journey. I'm doing it all the time and really love what it brings into my parenting.
Yes. And as Heather said, we're really happy for everyone that's joining. And it's just another reminder that this is a safe space. We're happy to have the questions, answer the questions. It's a non-judgmental space and just an invitation to remind ourselves to be kind to each other, but also to ourselves. Kindness through parenting, kindness to your partner, whoever that is, and kindness to your child.
Love it. So important. Can never be too kind.
Mm-hmm.
Parents are not failing at screens, people. Screens were designed to override our developing brains and our children's developing brains. And this session is just going to talk a little bit about reframing some boundaries as leadership in our relationship with our kids, and then calm structure that we can build to create safety and trust with our children, especially around technology, and the connection that we develop that deepens and reduces conflict over time with our kids. It helps build their confidence and help us all be happier in life. So we'll have 3 invitations. I always have this format, 3 invitations, and we'll have 3 tools that we'll share at the end. And in between that, Tori's going to land some really great brain science information about what's going on with technology and how it's affecting our kiddos' brains. So all of that is coming at you. I'm going to clear those. So invitation number 1, leading with confidence and self-regulation. So the way that I like to look at this is I have to lock this down is maybe what we're thinking now, and changing that mindset to I can lead this with confidence and belief. And the leadership that you bring forward calms your nervous system, calms our child's nervous system. It's called co-regulation. And controlling a situation escalates it. And we've all seen it, right? With our own kids, with other people's children, where even at the playground, when you say, no, we're leaving, and we haven't had some leadership and some calm there, it can get very escalated. So, and children regulate better when adults stay steady and are regulated ourselves. The calm authority that we build, it helps our children trust us, and it builds it way faster than an intense relationship with them will. Invitation number two, converting rogue rules into values, safety, and understanding. So, rules without context may be what's happening in your house right now. It's definitely happened in my house in the past. I just had a rule. I pulled a rule out of my shoe, right? So, shared values that communicate respect and trust. And you're going to hear a little bit more about this in the brain science section about why that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Those boundaries land better when our children understand why they exist, like
Mm-hmm.
what value anchors that boundary for us, how we come to that value. It's hopefully a community project or a collaborative project for our family. And then explanation. It really builds cooperation, like helping our child understand the information, even about their own brain that they may not know. It's really powerful for them
Mm-hmm.
to know and be aware of. So, the third invitation that we're going to offer today is power struggles or predictable structure. And I think even as an adult, I would much prefer predictable structure over a power struggle. So, predictable structure communicates trust, not control. It's much more predictable. Back to the story or the idea about being at the playground. When you have a predictable structure, okay, we're going to go to the playground for 2 hours. And we've got 15 minutes left before we have to head out of the playground because, we've got to go pick up dinner for grandma, right? So predictability reduces negotiations and the emotional overload that our child might feel because they don't want to leave the playground or they don't want to put down their device, right? Predictability helps us look at those situations and plan ahead for them. And fewer surprises mean fewer meltdowns. If your child has been kind of along for the ride and they know what to expect, they're going to be much less likely to melt down. Then the structure also communicates that they're safe and they have a safe space there with you. There's not, you're not going to pull the rug out from under them and leave the park 20 minutes early just because you want to, right? Predictability signals competence and it signals leadership as a parent. And now I would love to throw it over to Tori and let her talk a little bit more about our brains and our children's brains.
Yes, and Heather knows I love this. I can geek out on this as much as possible, but we'll keep it to ages 10 to 25 right now. Because young people are very, very sensitive to status. That's literally what's going on in their brain. They're craving respect. They're looking for respect, whether that's from peers or adults, and they're judging themselves and judging if others see them as capable and competent. So with that motivation, they're looking for the respect. They want to understand where the expectations come from because they want to know that there is a belief in them and a belief in themselves. So they're going to disengage when boundaries feel like the boundaries are there because they're not trusted or because they don't have low expectations. Like, I don't trust you to be capable to handle this yourself. And so with the autonomy, like, this support is not just permissiveness. It's like Heather said, it's developing that structure where they have a different kind of buy-in and they can understand where the boundary comes from instead of it just feeling arbitrary. Something we're going to get into later is the idea of being the wise mentor. That is a phrase coined by David Yeager. He's the author of the book 10 to 25. And it comes from a different mentor stance than the enforcer or the protector. And as we'll talk about later, that's where the boundaries come from and the buy-in comes from to respect those boundaries.
Amazing. Yes. So excited to hear more about our brains. So tell me a little bit about what's happening, like brain science wise. What's happening with our brains, our children's brains?
Yeah. Yep. So from ages 6 to 12, they are in the struggle of industry versus inferiority. And these ideas come from Erik Erikson. He breaks down basically each stage of life and the role and that's going on in the developmental for development. So from 6 to 12, kids are asking themselves, am I capable? So that comes in where they're learning if they're competent or not. So if we're hovering, or if we're being really, strict boundaries, not explaining them, they're wondering like, can I not do this myself? Like, where is this because I'm a failure? Is this that's where the self-doubt is starting to come in? And we might be trying to help them, but they're hearing it as questioning what they're able to do. And then as they get older, it's their identity. They're figuring out who they want to be. They're about to enter adulthood. What kind of adult am I going to be? Who am I? If they have a healthy development, they're going to develop a healthy identity. If not, they're going to be really confused. The who am I then becomes a much bigger question if there's confusion mixed in with that. And so when we're thinking about identity, what they're looking for is the feedback from adults and from peers. And it depends on what voice is loudest, right? And where that identity and how that identity is shaped.
Right. And I watched that with my own child, and the peer voice is always louder.
Right.
That peer voice, and there's a lot of them, and there are, they're very, very connected into what their peers think and the dialogue between them and their peers. So screens, why are they so powerful? What's it doing?
As we're talking about these developmental stages, am I capable? Who am I? Their prefrontal cortex is developing. They're relying on that feedback. Now, when we're talking about screens, that's instant feedback, right? They can literally see the likes and the feedback and the shares. And that's triggering a part of their brain that's giving dopamine. They're going to start craving that. They're going to start actively seeking the likes and the engagement. And it's right in their hands. They do not have to go far to know if they are liked or not liked. And so then when you think about those questions, who am I? Am I capable? What feedback are they getting? It's right in their pocket, they're directly connected to some sort of feedback, whether it's positive or negative. And what's crazy, or not crazy, but the apps know this, right? The games know this. That's how they're built.
Okay.
5-second, you can go to the next one, get that next dopamine hit, get that immediate reward.
Sure. And I even fall into that. My prefrontal cortex is pretty developed.
Yeah. We're way past that. Yeah.
Oh.
And so if you're going to compare the instant feedback, the instant gratification versus non-digital tasks, I mean, it's not necessarily a surprise that the non-digital tasks are less engaging when you compare, because they're not getting that dopamine hit. It's not fun to be bored, but I can have something new in my hands every few seconds.
It kind of takes away that discovery that you can develop from boredom, or develop from trying something new
to even be challenged, right? There's no challenge in scrolling. It's very easy, very passive. And so of course they're going to keep checking. They're going to become more sensitive to any kind of validation, good or bad. And when they hear the feedback from an adult as they're thinking, am I capable? They're just going to hear that as rejection. They're just going to hear it as failure. So we have to think, how can we give that feedback so that they're hearing it in a healthy way, in a way that is positive and cooperative versus, like we've talked about, feeling strict, arbitrary, random, because that's not as fun.
Disrespected, right? That's such a big thing for this Gen Z group. Awesome. Thank you. So social media status and the teen brain, what are some key insights to help us see this through here?
Well, as we've mentioned, it's the respect, right? They really are craving the respect. It's very easy for us, well, maybe not so easy, but it's easy for us to say, like, put the social media away. It's not important. That they are connected to all of their peers at all times. That is very important. And so even to minimize it kind of takes away like what they are experiencing, whether we agree or disagree. It's showing the reward right on their screen. It's visible. They can they're comparing, they're giving that feedback to others. And yeah, and it's a loop, right? And that loop is forming how they think of themselves.
Right.
Mhm.
I think of it like when I was a kid, we had movies,
Mhm.
and I would watch a movie of like Breakfast Club or I don't know Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one of my favorites,
Mhm.
and I would learn things and see other teenagers or tweens and kind of model things that I thought I liked out of
Mhm.
those. Right? It wasn't a feedback loop
Right.
though.
Right. Because you
Right?
can turn the movie off. And
Yeah.
then you go and maybe you model or maybe you try and, play things out like you saw on the screen, but you're not still connected to it at all times. And
That
it's not
immediate
giving the
gratification.
feedback right back into your core belief system of who you think you are.
So interesting. Very cool. Um, did you
So,
wanna
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so just to bring that home, I mean, screens aren't a neutral identity development. As we've like in the pre-survey, it's not just a babysitter, it's not just something to do when they're bored. It's giving that feedback as they're thinking about who they are, if they're capable. And as convenient as it is to say, like, all right, go play on the iPad for a minute, we might think that that is saving us, saving them from a little bit of a power struggle in that moment, but we've got to take into account how much weight that actually carries into their core belief system.
Wow. Yeah, it's adds up.
Mhm.
It's a big decision, I think. So, translate this for parents. Tori, help us understand what does that mean and what helps and what escalates this
Mhm.
situation?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of touched on the power struggle of it all. Putting out rules that we think make sense, and even if they do, they need to be explained clearly. Why am I putting this rule into place? Why is this? Oh, bless you, bless you. Yeah, can't help that. Um, why is this boundary being put into place? Is it because I know what's best and what I say goes and you need to just listen, that it is what it is? Or can it be a conversation that invites them in so that we're not having that power struggle?
Mhm.
Is there the calm leadership, kind of like the invitations you talked about? Are we modeling calm responses, calm behavior, with the respectful explanation, again, versus the inconsistent enforcement? You're losing your iPad for a month. Why? Like yesterday, it was for a day. Now it's for a week, right? It doesn't make sense. And it's hard to follow, and it's hard to follow that structure. And you want to help them, help it make sense to them.
Yeah.
Um, with the structure, with the autonomy, like I'm doing this because of this. You explain it to them so that they can have that buy-in. They feel a little bit more respected, and you're going to see a different reaction.
Got it. These are so helpful. I'm sure parents out there are like, "Oh, I'm gonna print this out." So we'll have this on the worksheet for you
Mhm.
when you download it. All right, let's jump into some tools,
Mhm.
and we will be off and running
Yeah.
and learning using all our new tools and practicing them. So the first tool, I gave it a 1A and a 1B here because I think it's so important as a parent to first realize our own self-regulation. And Anchor is an acronym that I use in my work with parents to talk about awareness, the
Mhm.
awareness that's in my body. What's going on? Oh, I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm upset with my child, whatever that awareness is, and what you name what's happening. Like I'm feeling like my hands are tensing up and my neck feels really tight. And like there's some things physically that I'm feeling, right? And all of this can happen in a second, the whole Anchor acronym, right? Connecting to your sensory calming tool. Maybe it's, rubbing your hands together just to take your mind off of something. Maybe it's, rubbing your temples. Maybe it's taking 3 deep breaths, right?
Mhm.
Deep breaths are underestimated, right?
Yes. Yes, they are. Yeah.
um, we have to honor the process, like allow ourselves to feel it. We talked earlier about being kind to ourselves. And we can't be kind to others if we're not kind to ourselves,
Mhm.
truly kind
Mhm.
to others if we're not kind to ourselves. So honor the process and being kind to ourselves as we self regulate here. And then open to connection and recommit to what is happening with our
Mhm.
child at that present moment. It makes such a huge difference when you take them a moment or two to anchor into yourself before we as parents jump into correction or working with our child collaboratively. Do you want to talk about 1B?
Yeah,
go
B, yeah,
ahead.
the why before rule conversation. And this is tying into, bringing them into the conversation, explaining why so that they have their own buy-in. It can be the brief values-based explanation before setting the limit. I think we've used an example, but for sleep, maybe we got to turn the game off a little bit earlier because this is starting to affect your sleep. You're waking up grumpy. We're starting to be snippy with each other.
You're mean to your little brother.
Yeah. Like, we're going to turn this off at this time so that you can kind of wind down and get to bed and have a better day tomorrow. Like, there can be a little bit more buy-in than just like turn the game off, go to bed.
Right. I love that. And, I know just because my son is a gamer, there are certain games too where he wants to plan how much time he has to complete something too. So that's been really helpful to set a boundary and then have him know, well, I only have 30 minutes left before I have to shut down. So, what can I do? What game can I get in? What can that next step be? It's very predictable for him to be able to use that.
And that's helping him build his own regulation, own time management, instead of you having to sweep in and say, this is why you're turning it off right now.
Absolutely. And I use the mesh network and some controls there to set it so that it would shut down too at a certain time. So there's another extra tool tip for you. And he knew, he was very clear on when it was going to shut down too. So, and there were occasions where he would come and say, hey, can I have an extension tonight? I don't have school tomorrow, those types of things. And we would have a good conversation about that. I think it really helped to not create tension and stress in those situations. So tool number 2, we're going to call it the digital rhythm check. So this, I kind of think of it as a sandwich. It starts with awareness and ends with maybe some adjustments, right? And adjusting the rhythm instead of banning everything. Your iPad's taken away for a month. That's not using a digital rhythm check. Maybe the child has been on their iPad for hours and they're fighting with their sibling, and the thing that you're becoming aware of is what's going on between them, right? So in that middle of that sandwich of like seeing what's going on, awareness, and the understanding what needs to be adjusted is what's happening, right? What's off balance and what feels neutral. Maybe what's happening is they're fighting with their sibling and it's getting escalated and unfriendly. What's off balance? Like the balance in the house, right? The balance of their relationship, the kindness that is one of their family values, for example. And then what feels neutral? What's really not having a problem here? Maybe, maybe other things are feeling neutral in the situation. So we can acknowledge what those are, because maybe at another time they're going to feel off balance or they're going to feel out of scope. And then the biggest thing about the digital rhythm check is making sure that it's predictable. So having this in place allows predictability for you as the leader in your family, and allows your child to understand what's coming and and it's a process. Like, it allows them to learn a new way to process things and think about things. Do you want to say any more about the rhythm?
No, I think that's a good flow. Yeah.
All right.
It helps with the balance. Yeah, I like that.
All right. Take it away, Tori.
This comes a lot from the book that we mentioned earlier, 10 to 25 by David Yeager. He breaks down the different types of mentors, and we've kind of touched on different styles so far in the presentation. But we've got the enforcer mentor, which is the control and the compliance. That is what I say goes, don't question it, right?
Oh, yes.
And
power over.
and the thing that I think is worth mentioning too before I explain it is, like, it doesn't mean that there's bad intent with any of these mentors. Like, you're still trying to enforce rules, you still care about your child, you want what's best.
Absolutely.
The important thing is, like, how is it being perceived? How are they hearing it? Because that might not be what you're trying to say, but it is important to know what they're hearing. And so with the control and compliance, the message that's being received is, you're not trusted. I know better, so do better, right? Do what I think you need to do. And what kids hear is, okay, well, I'm going to resist that because, don't love that. Maybe I don't. There's no not feeling that respect, not feeling that autonomy. It's going to lead to secrecy, sneaking things, and the power struggle. The protector mentor and mindset is the comfort and avoidance. Again, there's plenty of love. You want to comfort, you want to help, you want to be the one that fixes things. But what they're hearing is, I can't do this by myself. I can't handle this. And again, if we're thinking about how their brain is developing, they're learning low confidence. Like, I'm not capable. I need my parent to do this. I'm depending more on the feedback instead of being able to regulate, set their own boundaries, respect boundaries, any of that. And then the wise mentor, again, this is coined from David Yeager, but he explains and gives a lot of examples on how if you're able to communicate the high expectation and pair it with the belief and the autonomy support, the buy-in and the feedback is so much better. It's because you're clearly explaining, I respect you. I know you're capable. And this is why we're setting this rule, or this is why we're setting this boundary. And you have the ability, you are capable to stay within this boundary. You're smart enough, you're capable enough to do this. So there's going to be a lot more cooperation. There's going to be a lot more trust. And all of this is building their own resilience. Again, now they know, okay, 5 minutes, I'm going to turn it off. They can already start self-regulating instead of needing an outside force to regulate for them. So this style really can help build the competence and the connection because they know you trust them to self-regulate and to respect the boundary.
I love it. So the protector actually kind of takes away the ability to regulate yourself because the parent is just letting the iPad be the babysitter or the iPad be the pacifier for the child in that case. And the child is learning no tools to handle that themselves. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. This is how we get to show up. So the parent is the regulator, right? And we have our children co-regulate to us. We hold boundaries in a calm manner. Obviously, the yelling we talked about already is not as effective. And it allows our kids to not carry the load of the emotions. And our tone is really a big factor. Calm repetition builds safety. I can't tell you how many times I have said, Storm, could you go pick up the poop in the backyard? Hey, the poop's in the backyard. I'm sure you're gonna go pick it up, the dog. Things like that just help build safety in a calm and kind manner. Whereas if I were nagging or yelling or getting very upset, it completely changes how that feedback is heard. Tori was saying.
Yeah. And this is a really underappreciated part, or maybe overlooked as the parent as the regulator, because that's the model and kids are watching and that's how they're learning from this modeled behavior. And so if you're able to communicate, respect and in the tone and the calmness, like they're going to be able to respond in that same tone, right? A lot of these are learned patterns and learned behaviors, and that might be an uncomfortable truth sometimes.
Yeah,
but they are learning those things from how we model them.
For sure. And then we're hearing them when they talk to their friends or their teacher. Yes, those can be really rude awakenings for some of us. I have a challenge for all of you parents who are on board and learning new things today with us. I'm going to invite you to practice to choose and rewrite one boundary right now in a calm tone with a clear value behind it. Maybe that means you do a little exercise in what are your family and or personal values first. And then a real predictable follow through on how you're going to hold this boundary. And maybe choose a boundary that currently causes some friction, right? How would the tone maybe be different if you were reinventing this boundary? And where could predictability really reduce some stress in your relationship with your child? Anything else on that?
No, that's good.
Amazing. Well, we have some authors and resources here, and Tori and I would love to take your questions. If you have some questions you want to direct to us, our website is in the bottom right corner, and you're welcome to add some questions here to the video below the video as well. And obviously, if you want it to be more personal, just reach out to us individually. Tori, share a little more about CLT counseling.
Yeah, you can find us at cltcounseling.com. We're on YouTube and Instagram. We do a lot of videos, feedback, that kind of stuff, post resources, articles. We have a newsletter where all of that goes as well. So you can keep up that way. And yeah, like Heather said, glad you joined. And if you have any questions, drop them below, and we can probably also get to them in the next session too.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love that. And there are a couple of QR codes on the screen too, if you want to see some of the resources. When I read a great book or find a great resource, or a parent tells me of a resource that they love, I vet it and put it on my resources page on my website. I also have a catalog of all the sessions that I offer when I go into businesses and schools and offer Momentor Parent University curriculum. And I've got a little newsletter as well. So come see us on February 26th.
Yeah, let's have it in person.
Yeah, so we would love to have it in person with everyone, and make that a session number 2, a in person, and maybe still stream it. But I think it would be a lot of fun to have you all in the room and asking your questions. And I don't know, I don't know about you, but I like feed off of being in a group, and that's
that
why
direct feedback, but in person
Right?
direct feedback. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I love coaching groups, and it's really my sweet spot. So our sessions coming up in February and March are both on the 26th. And I am Heather McElroy with Momentor Parent University.
And I'm Victoria Gwilt with CLT Counseling.
We hope you got a lot out of this today, and would love your feedback and thoughts. And we'll see you next month.
Yay.
Thank you. And here we are. We're ending. Have a good night.